Welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk to you about the lunar nodes in the signs. We're going to go through each of the signs and each of the nodes north and south. So this is a video is for someone who is trying to learn how to read a birth chart and to explore other ways of looking at the lunar nodes. I will be going through with two of my suggested sentence openers so that it's an easy way to bring in the interpretation that I like to use, and then of course the interpretation that you would like to use as well, so you can realign these sentences with your beliefs regarding the lunar nodes. And clearly there are many books written about the lunar nodes, and I really cannot cover everything in a 10-minute video, but this is a definite introduction into how you would want to interpret the lunar nodes within your chart. So how to read a birth chart, lunar nodes in the signs. So first we're going to be looking at some of the nodal sign changes, and we're referring north node first, then south node as always. So the nodes went into Gemini, Sagittarius in May 2020. They will move into Taurus, Scorpio in 2022, then into Aries, Libra in July 2023, into Pisces, Virgo in 2025 in the January, then on to Aquarius and Leo in 2026 in the July, and into Capricorn, Cancer in 2028 around March. So this is how you see that the modes are spending like a year and a half in each of the two sign pairs, and they are precessing. That means they're going backwards through the sign. So at the moment we are still in Gemini and Sagittarius. And when we talk about the natal nodes by sign, your birth chart will actually show you your natal node sign pair. So if you're very much a beginner, you need to be looking at the nodes. Those are the symbols there. They will be in your sign, north node and south node. This is the chart for Salvador Dali, the painter, and he has the north node in Virgo and the south node is in Pisces. So you may have a chart that only shows the north node, so you would always know then that the south node is exactly opposite that. But if your chart does display both the north and the south node, they'll be pretty clear to see once they are in the chart. When I work with the nodes in the signs as an astrologer, there are many things you're looking at once. So this is just one part of a myriad of items that can be shown in a chart. So what I have here are some what I'm calling conversational openers, sentence openers for the two nodes, and you can adjust these to suit it once you learn more about the nodes as well, and maybe you've got some different ideas too. So my opening sentences for the north node is that the north node fears but should push towards, because it is your destiny. It's where you're supposed to be walking towards, but it's not always easy, and we do sometimes fear it. And the south node falls back towards typically what happened in the past, your comfort zone, your ingrained habits, and going back to maybe even old relationships or something like that. So the south node shows where you fall back to, and the north node is showing where you ought to be pushing towards. And this is how I'm going to be looking at these two nodes in this video. So when the nodes are in Aries, Libra, the north node in Aries fears but should push towards independence. The south node in Libra falls back to the partner to find balance. So there's the challenge, that you ought to be moving towards finding your own independence, but the comfort zone will be to find a partner, being a partner, and in a way it could be that it holds you back and you need to strive towards independence. And ideally, if you can have independence within a partnership, that would probably work out very well indeed. The nodes in Taurus, Scorpio. The north node in Taurus fears but should push towards stability. The south node in Scorpio falls back on reliability. What we're saying here is that in your life, you need to find some kind of stability within your life. This is what you are striving for, that helps you get established in a Taurian way. And when the south node is in Scorpio, you may fall back on the reliable things that you've done in the past, even though they may be unstable. So that's what we're saying about the nodes in Taurus, Scorpio. When the nodes are in Gemini, Sagittarius, the north node in Gemini fears but should push towards communication. and the South Node in Sagittarius falls back on adventure. So this would be the quest to actually speak to others, share your knowledge, speak up, open up, use what you have in your head as your driving force to move forward, even though you may fear saying, oh, I don't know what to say to people or something like that. And then with the South Node in Sagittarius, it may be easier for you to just go on adventures and not integrate with people. So there's something to be said there for the Gemini-Sagittarius pair. When the nodes are in Cancer and Capricorn, the North Node in Cancer fears but should push towards self-reliance, and the South Node in Capricorn falls back on the tried and tested. So here your destiny or challenge may be to be able to rely on yourself and establish your home base, your foundations, as it were, in your own, the way you want it to be, whereas your South Node in Capricorn will make you generally fall back on tried and tested, such as where you came from, the sort of family home you had before, the sort of family dynamic you may have had in the past, and you fall back on that, and that is your default position, but really you ought to be pushing towards self-reliance in these areas. When the nodes are in Leo and Aquarius, the North Node in Leo fears but should push towards creativity, and the South Node in Aquarius falls back on being awkward. This suggests that if you have your North Node in Leo, that you ought to tap into your creativity, even though people may have poo-pooed it in the past or said, oh, you're no good at this, you can't be an artist, or something like that. Or you've said it to yourself, your inner critic is going wild. Whereas if you lean towards your South Node, you go back on being awkward, saying, yes, I'm really not good enough, and these things are, maybe you do a painting or something, and then you just tear it up and say, no, it's not, I'm not worthy of this. And you become very awkward regarding your creativity, saying or believing that you can't do it, because that's your default position. When the nodes are in Virgo Pisces, the North Node in Virgo fears but should push towards kindness, and the South Node in Pisces falls back on the sympathy of others. Here it's a little bit about being kind to the man in the street, basically, to lean towards expressing these feelings or these emotions of kindness towards others, whereas the South Node in Pisces may tend you towards leaning on others and even bringing in dependency issues where you are almost sucking it from them, whereas you ought to be pushing it out. Kindness ought to be being put out from you into the world. When the nodes are in Libra and Aries, the North Node in Libra fears but should push towards finding a partner, and the South Node in Aries falls back on attacking others. This one might be a little harsh. However, when you have the North Node in Libra, it may be scary to reach out to find a partner, but this is the destiny, as Libra is that sign of partnership. So the urge would be, even if you're scared to go on another date, fear, but push towards finding a partner. And then with the South Node in Aries, it may fall back on attacking others. And by this, what I mean is that you're saying, oh, well, he's not good enough, he's not tall enough, he's not rich enough, he hasn't got the right car. So you are jettisoning potential partners because you are just picking on them and attacking them for perhaps to protect yourself because you're scared to move forward and find the partner. When the nodes are in Scorpio and Taurus, the North Node in Scorpio fears but should push towards transformation, and the South Node in Taurus falls back on resisting change. This one can be a challenge because with these nodes, if the North Node is stronger in Scorpio, you are likely to push towards transformation, to develop yourself, to evolve yourself and improve yourself in some way, whereas your default position will be to just resist change and say, well, I'm good enough as I am, it was good enough for my parents, and it was good enough for my family, so why change? So that's something to think about for when the nodes are in Scorpio and Taurus. When the nodes are in Sagittarius and Gemini, the North Node in Sagittarius fears but should push towards philosophy, and the South Node in Gemini falls back on empty comments and gossip. So here with the North Node in Sagittarius, you want to elevate basically your conversation, perhaps understand something more about philosophy, have some deeper understanding of what's going on. That could also have been move towards religion, if that is your thing, or move towards expressing yourself or teaching others in some advanced way. Whereas the South Node in Gemini can easily fall back on being the little gossip across the fence on your neighbors, and it's a little hollow. So the point is to strive towards the Sagittarius and elevate your thoughts and conversations. When the nodes are in Capricorn and Cancer, the North Node in Capricorn fears but should push towards setting goals in life. The South Node in Cancer falls back on withdrawing to home. This one seems a little clearer. When your North Node is in Capricorn, if you set goals, you have something to aim at. And through your goals and achievements, honors are likely to come to you. And it might be scary, so you have to push through, even if you fear actually doing it. And certainly if you're older, if you're 40 plus or something, still push forward to set some goals in your life. Whereas the default position with the South Node in Cancer is withdrawing at home, I suppose sitting in front of the TV and not doing the things that in your heart of hearts you really like to do, to push towards setting some goals and making something of your life. When the nodes are in Aquarius Leo, the North Node in Aquarius fears but should push towards being humble, and the South Node in Leo falls back on arrogance. So the North Node in Aquarius is very much the sign where you have to give up yourself probably for the group or for the greater good and being humble about things. Whereas if you tend towards your South Node in Leo, it can become over as arrogance because that is very much a me sign, whereas Aquarius is more about a we sign or a them sign. So this is a contradiction here, that to aim towards, walk towards the light, walk towards the Aquarius, be humble and I suppose humanitarian as well with that. And then when the nodes are in Pisces Virgo, the North Node in Pisces fears but should push towards empathy and support, and the South Node in Virgo falls back on criticism. Here, you are seeking your destiny is through the North Node in Pisces. You want to push towards empathy, understanding people, supporting others, but not necessarily enabling them, whereas it's very easy to go back to your default position and tap into the criticism or the darker side of Virgo, the nitpickiness that can come through. So the idea is to walk towards the North Node in Pisces and bring in empathy and support that you can offer to other people. Okay, so we went through and we had some suggested sentences for each of the lunar nodes. If you are an aspiring astrologer, I'd like to hear in the comments below what other terms you could place in the end of those sentences to develop the interpretations through your voice. That would be interesting to see how you might feel about, say, the North Node in Libra or something like that. It's always interesting to see how other people develop, because I believe that as an astrologer, well, once you've learned the basics, you are still going to interpret charts through the nature of your chart and through your voice, and that is always important. So I'm not saying I've got the final word here on lunar node interpretations. What I'm saying is this is a jumping off point for you to get going with finding some types of interpretations that you can use in the lunar nodes. So this video is part of a series I'm doing on lunar nodes, and there will be more coming in the main playlist, so you can check them all out on the tag at the top. I'm Alison Price. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.